Hey, Tom here. So today we're going to talk about making big money on little deals. I've been doing it since I was 19 years old, and I'm going to show you how I've done it, talk about some of those deals I've done, but I'm also going to show you how I would do it today if I had to start today. So still setting up here. I got kind of a one-man studio going on right now. So let me see what I got to do here. So any questions you got as we're going along here, I'll try to address them. All right. Okay, so we're going to talk about making big money on little deals. Not just because they're affordable to everyone, and you don't have to be limited on money to focus on little deals. It's a great way to make money. There's actually probably less competition, to be quite honest, in that little field. But it's something I've done a long time, and before we do that, I want to tell you right now, if you want to get my free app, I'm going to give it to the people that subscribe to my channel and the people that hit the notifications. Not all, you don't have to hit notifications, but you'll be one of the earliest ones to get it if you do. But write Tom at FlipAnythingUSA.com, and in the subject line, just put in Android or iPhone, whichever one you use, so I know what operating system you use, and you'll be among the first people to get the app when I release it. So let's talk about making money. When I first started, of course, I didn't have a lot of money. I was 19 years old, and I already wrote some notes here on the board. Get it framed right. So it was just by necessity. I mean, the first property I bought, if you guys have been following me, you know the first property I bought, I bought it owner finance, 19 years old, hair down to here, bloodshot eyes from allergies. I had no credit. I was too young to have any credit. I was only 19 years old. So that's the beauty of owner financing. Doesn't require credit. You don't need to have a credit history. You don't have to. You don't even really have to have any money to speak of or any assets to speak of, because there's no bank involved, so you don't have to deal with any of that stuff. So to get to some of the points here, first of all, so look, probably right now, if I had to start today, what I would do is I'd probably primarily look at houses. I had cards. See right here? I had cards. I used to make cards that said, I buy houses under $50,000. Some realtors would laugh when I handed it to them. They would. They go, yeah, me too. And I said, well, if you got a deal that you don't want, or maybe you don't have the money at the time, call me, because I'm interested. And that's what I did when I was 19 years old. I made those cards right there. And it doesn't matter if it's $50,000. Look, there's houses still under $50,000. You can probably head out of town and just go to another area outside of where you're at, or maybe even within your town. You're going to have some properties that are actually that cheap still, but relative to your market. So $50,000, this could be $100,000. It could be, I buy houses under $200,000, okay? Because believe me, where I'm at right now, that's probably the card that I would make now for me. But relative to your area, you'll have to decide on that. It could be, I buy houses under $500,000. If you're in New York, that would be a stretch to a lot of neighborhoods. So keep in mind, I'm saying houses under 50 to 100K. That could just as easily be houses under 500,000 to $1 million. It's just relative to the market in which you live. So keep that in mind. Now the other thing is lots. I'm talking about vacant lots. Could be acreage, acre or two. Primarily, I like buildable stuff, buildable lots. Meaning stuff that has water and electricity, that sort of thing. And usually everybody's got subdivisions near them where there's a lot missing here and there. You can cherry pick lots. When you see an empty lot between two houses, or if you see some guy that's got like an extra large property, that guy probably owns the lot next to his house, or it may just be a vacant lot next to his house. I bought a lot of those up and made a lot of money doing that. So we're gonna get your bird dogging skills. I call bird dogging. If you haven't watched my videos, you'll see my videos on bird dogging. I do a lot of it. But this is what I would do. I would start bird dogging properties that look to be, that are gonna fit this. They could be run down, just relative to your area. Lots, vacant lots, it's some of the easiest money to make. Again, and I'm going to talk about some of the reasons why. So we talk about land. When you're talking about vacant land, I love land. I love land. I've made so much money on land that I have a true affection for it because it is so good. With land, it's almost always going to be owner financed. Okay, banks don't even want to loan money on land, so people are kind of forced to carry the note. Okay, and so owner financing is in great abundance for land. Now, why is that such a great advantage to a buyer, to an investor that wants to make money? Okay, it's because generally you're going to get away with a low down payment. Relative to the parcel of the piece that you buy, you may get in with as little as 5% down. You may buy 5% down, 10% down, whatever. A relatively small amount. Okay, so you got a low down payment. That's one advantage. The other thing is you've got a no qualifying. When you buy land, there's no bank. I mean, the only person you got to convince to give you that loan is the seller of the property. And you can always remind them, say, hey, look, if I don't make my payment, you're going to get the land back. It's collateralized by the item that you're selling me. Okay, it's kind of like if they say the collateral is no good, what are they telling you, right? So in general, that's not going to be an issue, not a problem. So there's no qualifying. This makes it much easier for you to resell the property, makes it easier for you to buy the property. Assumable notes, okay? Generally, when you have a bank-owned note, it used to be almost every note was assumable. Long time ago, I'd find properties I buy and they're held by a bank, it was still assumable. Because in the old days, they didn't put in what's called an alienation clause, also known as a due on sale clause. And so you could find somebody that had a house that has an existing note on it, and you actually could just assume it. Okay, you could just assume it. And let me know if you guys have any trouble hearing me. I think you can. But so assumable notes. Now, why is that such a huge advantage with land in making deals? Is because you're making your money. You know how I operate. When I buy a property, I buy it under market. I won't buy anything that I can't buy relative to the market today. It must be under market. Okay. When you buy something and you've already got it under market and you get it pre-negotiated on the terms, on the note, so now you got all that in place. You close the deal, okay? Or maybe you assign it to somebody. That's always an option. You can assign your position, okay? I'm not going to get into that too heavy right now, but you basically let somebody take over your position on the property that you're buying. So that's an opportunity to make money. You usually make more money if you can afford to close it and then resell it, because you got a little more time to look for the money and look for somebody that can put more money down. So when you go out and when you make the deal owner financed, and I say it's more in abundance to do this on land that's owner financed, okay? But you can also do it with houses and buildings and all kinds of stuff. But there's no credit. If you have no credit, that's no problem, because like I said, owner's going to finance it. All right. When you put the financing in place, and what I'm talking about is when you buy the property and you have this note that can be assumed, you've kind of done all the work for the next guy, right? It's built in. Now this is where you do most of your work. You try to negotiate the best interest you can, the lowest interest you can. And I'm going to tell you why that's such an advantage. So first of all, obviously it's going to pay off quicker, and most of the money that when on the payments, most of it's going to principal and not interest. Okay, that's simple. But when you put that financing in place, this is where you're going to make the greatest amount of money, because you get the best financing you can possibly get after you negotiate the price. And once that's done, bear with me here. I can see I'm running low on battery, so I'm going to dim the screen. So that's the advantages of land, the stuff that I just talked about with you. Now, advantages of turning homes on the little deals is that there's way more people that can afford them. Way more people that can afford, of course, an inexpensive house. So when you negotiate a good deal on that, ideally you can just close it, buy it, just close it. You know, you get your loan and buy it however you get it closed. You know, where you borrow money, people ask me, say, Tom, should I borrow money from a hard money lender at 10%? Well, of course you should. If you got a great deal on the property, paying 10% interest is nothing. You know, because otherwise, if you don't have the money, you're probably going to look for a partner. And then what are you going to do? You're going to split all your profit with your partner. So hard money lender, if you got one, even if you got to pay 10%. I mean, I borrow money all the time as a favor from friends and family or whomever, but I only pay 4%. But I'm no risk. They know I'm going to pay it. They feel very comfortable. And when you get in that position, you'll have money. Money will come much cheaper to you. You'll be able to borrow much cheaper. So, back to the advantages of the home. They're affordable. There's more demand for it. They're financeable. They're financeable from the banks, obviously. And then there's generally there's usually demand for homes in general. Everybody wants to own a home, so you kind of got that, you know, home ownership, of course, something everybody wants to do and wants to have. So those are the two things, probably land and houses. Now, I'm not going to limit it to that, but I'm telling you, on the little deals, that's probably where you're going to find them. You're going to find them on land, and you're going to find them on inexpensive, small homes, whatever. That's kind of how it is. Now, you can also apply this, you can get into buildings and commercial buildings. I own a lot, primarily, that's my favorite thing, is commercial and industrial and offices. That's what I really like the best. And I can talk about that for hours, but relative to your market, if you want to specialize in commercial the same way, you can apply the same thing. If you can find a piece of commercial property that's inexpensive relative to the market, you've got all these same advantages depending on what you put in place. And I'll give you a quick story. One of my tenants, all my tenants know that I buy property, and I all know that I'll pay finder's fee if they ever find something and tell me about it. I had a tenant, she called me and said, hey Tom, the place next door just came for sale. Now this was a big restaurant. I think it was about 4,400 square feet. Maybe it was a little more, about 4,400 square foot restaurant. Big lot, it was beautiful, it was all paved, no grass, that's beautiful to me, less maintenance, right? All paved, great location. You could never get away with having a bar and restaurant in a neighborhood anymore, you know, because you have to ask the neighborhood, and the answer is always no today. It's always no matter what you want to do, it's always no. But this was already grandfathered in, it was pre-existing, so it was just an awesome deal. So she told me that she said she went over to buy lunch, and there was a little sign this big, said properties for sale. Wasn't even a big for sale sign. I ran over there as quick as I could, called on that number, got a hold of the agent, met with the owners, put a deal together immediately. I bought it for $750,000. Now, that was probably pushing full price. Not quite. It was under market still. It was under market for sure. But I negotiated a 3% interest rate. So I bought it with $50,000 down to buy a $750,000 property. I had $700,000 now being carried by a first trustee, and it was at 3%. I think the payment was only $2,200 a month. That's a very low payment on a $700,000 loan. And so when I went to when I put it up on the market and went to sell it, I made about $200,000 on it. I think I sold it for $950 or $925 actually. I sold it for $925. And one of the best things about it it made it easy is that the guys that bought it from me, they could just assume the loan. It was that simple. In fact, on that one, they conditioned somebody assuming it. They had to approve them. So this one, they're a little bit tougher sales. They said, well, look, Tom, we don't mind somebody assuming the note, but we want to know that they're like you, that we trust them. And I said, okay, fair enough. And so when I did sell it, I said, hey, let me introduce these guys. They own 5 other restaurants, and they passed. They said, no problem, we'll do it. They wanted to keep that money, and my check came in all the time. They wanted to keep that money flowing in, and you know, that's the beauty. Sometimes you can even negotiate a deal, and this is just an extra tip. Sometimes don't be afraid to negotiate a deal where you got to pay the property off. If the owner's going to carry a note, if you got to pay the property off in 2 years or 3 years, listen, if you're buying it under market, don't even worry about it. Somebody else is going to buy this thing before that note comes due anyways. So a lot of times I'll buy a property and I'll just say, look, I'll pay you off completely, in 2 years or 1 year or 6 months, whatever, it doesn't matter. because it buys me more time to go find another buyer to take the property off my hands and make some money. So let's see. Okay, talking about some of the deals I used to do. I came into an area and it was just loaded. It was actually, big hilly area, and there was just, there's lots like this on the hill, And this is kind of to show you that it's steep. These are like view lots. There was a lake down here. Lots of vacant properties. And not a ton of for sale signs, but I went up and I pretty much started owner financing, I started buying up everything. In fact, I think I bought almost 40 lots before I started selling them. And it was by design because I wanted to buy up everything that was available, because that allowed me to reset the prices, right? So what I did is I bought these properties for like $5,000 down. They'd be like $10,000, $20,000 a piece, but I'd buy them for $5,000 down, and I'd have a payment of like, $100, $150 a month. I started and I just kept building up, and then pretty soon it was no problem because I had so much money coming in from note income. It was not a problem for me to start buying properties and have a negative on them. Wasn't that big a deal because I had a positive coming from the profits on the notes that I was carrying before that. So anyways, but I went around and, let's just say that, most of these have houses on them, okay? But every once in a while, vacant. So I concentrated on all these vacant lots that had the best view of the lake, that were in between these things, and I was buying these things, like I say, $5,000 to $15,000. Every once in a while, though, I have somebody that wants $30,000. Okay, well, I can't make any money on that one because that's about what I'm going to have to sell it for. It's probably $25,000. Everything's $25,000, but these guys are holding out for $30,000. So what I did is I came up and I started buying up all the vacant lots, okay, till there was no vacant lots left. There was no more, really, there was nothing left. The only thing that was left was the people that wanted $30,000 for these lots. Only the people that wanted the most for the property. And that worked for me because now I've taken all the available inventory, and now they're the only game in town. So they're going to start getting nibbles on their property because there's nothing else out there. Well, then what I do is I come back and I put my properties up for $35,000, okay? $35,000 and $40,000. And then what happens is I just kind of reset the market, and now I'm the guy that's asking too much. These guys sell theirs for $30,000, and now there's nothing left. Okay? So now, guess what? Guess who's got a little monopoly on the area? Me, right? Now I'm selling these properties. Now I can have $35,000, and now people can start to make offers, and I'm happy. I can sell it for $25,000, I can sell it for $30,000, but I basically take away the rest of the inventory. The guys that are left, they set it at a higher standard. I bring my prices higher than theirs. Theirs now look like a bargain. Theirs get bought, and now I'm the only game in town, and then I start selling off my lots. Now, when I'm selling those lots, if you can see down here, I gotta pull this down just a little bit. Okay, so now when we're selling these lots, maybe I paid anywhere from 15 to, I put $5,000 down, and I bought a $15,000 lot. Now I'm going to sell it for, say, $25,000, $10,000 more than I paid for it, and I'm going to get, whatever, maybe $15,000 down, $10,000 to $15,000 down. But if I get $15,000 down, that's going to give me back my cash. It's going to pay off the first that I've already have in place, and now I'm going to carry a new first for $10,000 to $15,000 and at $200 a month, and now I've got $200 a month coming in for the next 10 years. And so you do that over and over again, and so my money's working for me, but I'm getting it returned. I'm not really building my cash, but I'm getting my cash returned to get my cash returned. But every time I get my cash returned on a deal, I have $200 a month coming in, or $150 or $100, whatever. And that's building up, That is a great way to get your financial independence quick and easy, and you're doing it with a lot of little deals. Like I say, you turn 10 lots like that, and maybe you've done it with $50,000, or maybe you did it, $5,000 at a time, and you just did it 10 times with $5,000. And now you've got yourself, 200 times 10, you got $2,000 a month coming in. That goes a long ways, pays a bill, mortgage, utilities, and now you got more free time to pursue real estate instead of working a job and that sort of thing, things that, keep us busy, right? So, does anybody have any questions? Because I'll take them. I got one up here, let's see. Okay, great. I'm already, good. Well, the question I got is, I'm told that I'm already answering some of the questions that they'd had an email to. Okay, good. So let's see what else I can tell you about. Be sure to get the app. Folks, if you don't have my app, it's not nobody does at this moment, but it is a thing of beauty. You want to get it. Just write Tom at FlipAnythingUSA.com, and you'll be among the first to get it. Tom at FlipAnythingUSA.com. And I've been buying and selling real estate since I was 19 years old, and I've been pretty much independently wealthy since I was about 25, to be honest. I had a cabinet shop. I sold my cabinet shop when I was 28 years old, and the only reason I sold it is because I'd already had so much money in real estate coming in that I just didn't need it anymore. And then from that point on, I've just been nothing but a full-time investor, and it's a wonderful lifestyle. I got 4 kids, and if you're new to this, or if you're not, you already know, this is a video blog for my kids to follow when they are a little bit older, and then when they have the interest in it. You got to have interest. You got to want it. You really got to want it. But I want you to know that I know there's a lot of fear in real estate, but there doesn't need to be. Because, it's like anything. It's scary to go swimming when you don't know how to swim. But once you know how to swim, you realize, there's nothing to it. Riding a bike, same thing, right? You get on a bike, you don't know what to do. Now all of a sudden you know what to do. It's easy. That's how it goes. Okay, somebody said here they just got a call about a 3-2 with a mortgage that I want to get. I need more details, man. That's a tough question to answer. I would just say pursue it. Make sure you got to know what properties are worth. You have to know what value is. I don't know the value of your neighborhood. I can't help you with that. You have to know what values are. You have to know. Because you don't know what a good deal is. And it's a shame because sometimes I've lost deals. I was like, I don't know what to do because I didn't know if it was a good deal or not. I wasn't prepared. But see, when you know the area, you look at the area immediately around your home or immediately around an area that you're at all the time. Listen, I had a buddy that was a meter reader. And he said, Tom, how can I make some money? He knew I already made a lot. I said, man, look, you're reading water meters everywhere at these houses. Talk to the people. Tell them you're interested in buying property. And man, he did that. And within a week of me telling him that, he had a little old lady. He said, you ever want to sell it? She said, as a matter of fact, I do. And she said, I'll sell it to you for $60,000, $2,000 down. It was worth twice that, more than twice that. And she didn't care. She liked him. He'd been looking at her water meters for 10, 15 years. And she said, here, you can have it. And he told me, I said, man, buy it. That's fantastic. And he bought it. And that's what it takes. You know what I mean? You gotta ask. If you don't buy a lottery ticket, you can't win, right? You have to take the step. If you don't ask, nobody can say yes, nobody can say no. But you have to ask. So let's see what else. I do want to recommend make a card. Make a card so people have something to hand them. That's got your phone number. It's got your email. When I started doing this, there was no email. All it was purely a phone call. So, I buy property. You can say I buy property under $100,000. You can say I buy land and whatever. And believe me, you can do this with trailers. If you're in some place where there's nothing but trailer parks or whatever, you can flip anything. You can make money on anything. But real estate is the most lucrative. Real estate is the most lucrative. I have big companies. I'm in a big building right now that I bought a long time ago. Not even that long ago, but it's one of many that I've had in building a very big company that I own. And even as big as my company is, and successful as my company is, it still pales in comparison to the profits that I have made on my own as a one-man show, buying and reselling, buying and carrying notes and that sort of thing. And just acquiring, now I kind of just I just kind of acquire properties that I want to keep and for cash flow, and I'm talking about big, commercial strip centers, offices, and anybody can do this. You just have to apply yourself and just go through the motions. You just, it's just numbers. You have to try. You're going to fail, you're going to fail, you're going to fail, you're going to win. You're going to fail, you're going to fail, you're going to fail, you're going to win. You're going to hit it, you will hit it, but you have to try, because if you're not trying, and if you're not failing, it means you're not trying. So I think I pretty much covered it here. If anybody's got any additional questions, we can get into it. But otherwise, I'm going to call it quits. It's the end of the day for me, and I got to go catch my boys that are going to be home from school soon, and hang out with them. And okay, let's see, we got some questions here. We'll go back here a second. What's your app? Man, you just tuned in. Basically, app I'm giving away. I've had a lot of subscribers. I started this as a blog to help people, and primarily as the groundwork for my boys to follow when they get old enough and interested. I got twin boys, two boys, 14 years old. Basically, my app, I can't give you all the details, but it is a fantastic tool. It's basically will help you with my years of experience and with what I know and how I do and how I put my deals together and how I keep track of the stuff that I do. That's what's in this app. And so be sure to subscribe, but be sure to send that email, and so I know who you are, so I can let you know when it's available, and you'll be pointed to it. Android is going to be the first version that will be released. I already have that done. Next is going to be the iOS version for iPhone. So hope that answers your question. And see, Engineer 23, glad you're here. Let's see, you've been trying to educate yourself how to determine value, but definitely not something you feel you're having much success with. Well, what is your recommendation? Okay, fair enough. This is how I determine value. Let me make it real simple. I also own a machine shop, right? So I look for tools, and everything I buy, every machine I buy used, okay? It's too expensive to buy new. So what I do is, if you look at a car, if you're looking for a car, or like me, I'm looking for a lathe. Well, I'm looking for a lathe, and I see the lathes on average, the ones that I want are, say, $30,000, $40,000. Well, then when I find one, I'm going, everybody's $30,000, $40,000, everybody's $30,000, $40,000. You encounter this when you buy a car or anything else, pickup truck, whatever. And then all of a sudden you find one that's like, $15,000. It's a bankruptcy, there's a problem. And you go, I'll take it. That's how you find real estate. There's really no difference. You look at what's available and what is for sale. And then you find out, look, you have a dream home that you want to buy. You want a home that's got a 2-car garage and in a good school, and and you're driven to look for it because that's what you want. You want it for your kids, you want it for your wife and yourself, and so you start looking at what you want. Start looking at what you want. That's a great way to start. Look at what you want to live in or what you want to buy, okay? And with that, you will start finding out, okay, the first house you look at, it's $100,000. It's 2-bedroom, 2-bath, let's say. And then you go to another one, it's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, and they want 110, okay? Pretty soon, after looking at enough houses, you'll get an idea that, gee, if I'm gonna buy a house in this neighborhood, it's gonna cost me $120,000 or $110,000 or whatever it is. You now have the knowledge that you need to know what is a deal in your neighborhood, because you went out and you're looking at everything. You don't want to overpay, right? So you look at what's available. Okay, now back to my looking for lathes. I actually did. I bought a lathe. I was looking for lathes that I needed, these manuals, and they're expensive. They're Hardings. They're nice lathe. Anyways, everything was like $20,000. Everything was $20,000. Boom! I find one for $5,000 or $6,000. It's in Michigan or something. I order it. It's being shipped to me. Now, a local auction in my town comes about. It was not an auction, it was like a little sale. And I go to it, and I couldn't believe it. There is exactly the lathe that I just ordered from Michigan, a used one that I was buying, except this one I'm getting for $3,000, and it has a bunch of tooling that's worth more than the lathe itself that I'm getting with it. So I buy it. But see, I didn't cancel the deal on the one that's coming from Michigan. I just bought them both. because I know once I get them in my shop, I can decide which one I'm going to keep, and I'm going to sell the other one and make 10 grand. That's what I know because I took time to research and know what values are on those lathes. I knew a good deal when I saw one, and then why stop there? And that one I just fell into getting two at once that were a great deal. But it's the same thing. When you're doing the research, when you're looking for a car or whatever you're looking for, you're doing the same thing that we're talking about here. We're talking about taking time to figure out what the values are. And I'm going to plug in here, guys, because I'm afraid we're going to go dead in a second. So hopefully that will take care of that. So you have to do the work. You have to do the work. You have to, if you're looking for a house and you're saying, you just have to look at what's for sale. You call up, how much is it? Meet with the agent, walk through the property. You're not to buy it. This is to get your education. And so if you do that in your neighborhood, at all the for sale signs in the general area that you're at, you're going to know what the values are. And then you're going to, I'll tell you what, I had this happen just the other day. Like a drainage ditch. There was a for sale sign pounded in the bottom of a drainage ditch. This just happened to me the other day. And I mean, it looked like an old crappy sign, but it was brand new. The sign just appeared there. It wasn't a new sign. It was an old sign pounded in there, and I thought, I had to turn around. You couldn't even read it. There's weeds growing in front of it, and it was pounded down in the bottom of an irrigation ditch. So I turn around, I drive back over, pull out, I tell my son was with me, I say, hey, take a picture of that sign and come back. Took a picture of the sign, comes back, I look at this picture, I see the sign, I call the guy, and he said, oh, you're the first one to call on that sign. I'm thinking, well, no wonder. You pounded in the bottom of a ditch and a bunch of weeds. Probably the first one to see the sign. And he was surprised that I was the first one to call. So that kind of stuff happens. So my point is, you'll find a property like that. You contact the person, or maybe you see a for sale sign, and maybe they didn't put it on the MLS, and maybe the agent, you just never know. People sell under market. If you go look at some of my videos, look at the 3-day deal, look at the lake house deal, look at the 11-day deal. These are properties I've bought just since doing this blog, where there's probably $300,000 or $400,000 profit there between 3 deals. And that's on a relatively small amount of money spent. So that's how you do it. But Engineer 23, I know you've been watching a long time, but just start looking at properties, not with the intent to buy, but to see what they're asking for them, okay? And believe me, you go to a few, you're gonna find out, because sometimes you'll go, wait, why is this 3.2 worth $100,000 and this 3.2 worth $150,000? Now sometimes there's a real reason, but if you go inside and you find out, you'll go, and you'll know why. And I don't know why, because I'm just giving you an example. But maybe they're next to a railroad track, or maybe they're next to something else that's a little bit of an encumbrance on the deal. Oh, let me see. Let me hit here. Somebody had a question. Okay, let's see. Okay, Avery, do you like to look at properties live, just driving around, or on Zillow, or on other sites? Okay. Go watch my video on the lake house deal. Like when I first found the lake house deal. This is what happened. But yeah, listen, I'm always, if I'm driving, I'm working. If I'm driving, I'm looking. I always, if I see the shades are torn up on a house, if I see, like, I'll give you an example. You drive by in a house and you see that there's like a path to a front window, like somebody's walking in and out of the house using a window as an entrance. That's a sign that either there's a tenant that's not taking care of the place, or it's an owner that didn't give a damn. One or the other, or both. Could either way. So when I see something like that, that's a red flag. I'm like, hey, something's wrong here. And I'll find out who owns that home, and 9 times out of 10, it's a landlord that just doesn't give a damn, and make a deal with him. And I'll buy it. I'll tell the tenants to, stop going through the window or whatever, or move out, and let's clean it up and paint it, clean it up, and sell it. that's how, I mean, there's no one way, but my eyes are always open. Sometimes, listen, several of the properties I bought in the last several months have been listed with agents, surprisingly. Actually, all three were listed with agents. But, I mean, I bought a lake house for $80,000, worth much more than that, And there's always a different reason why. In fact, I have another one called "Why Do People Sell Below Market?" or something like that. Look for that video. That'll answer some of those questions too. But and answer your question, the reason I was saying watch that lake house video is because that's a perfect example. An agent calls me and said, "Hey Tom, I got a house here. The agent is in another state, and they said they were offered $75,000." And I thought, wow, that's crazy low. I don't know the area, but that's crazy low for a house that potentially has a lake view. I said, I'll take it. And then I drove a half hour to the property, and I was like really excited. And I told him, I said, I'll take it, 75. And he goes, no, they've already been offered 75. I said, okay, tell them I'll give them 80. Let's close it right away. And that's what they wanted to hear. And they came back and they said, well, they want to clear 80,000, meaning I pay all the expenses, I pay the title or whatever's involved. They want to clear 80,000. I said, no problem. It's a deal. We signed it up. We closed it right away. And, you know, I feel like I made $200,000 that day. And I mean, I'm going to hold on to it for a while because if I sold it today, I'm going to be paying taxes on $200,000 profit. But if I wait a year, the capital gains are half that. So I'm going to hold it for a year before I sell it. And that's the beauty. When you buy property under market, you have the ability to hold and watch that market. If the market's just sitting flat, you're safe. If it starts to go up, you're going to make even more. And if it starts to go down and you get nervous, say, I'm out, you can sell it because it hasn't dropped to the level, let's say, down here is where you bought it. And if it starts to drop, now you have time to get rid of it before it goes down. Because if you buy at market value, if you're a speculator and you're buying with the hopes that it's going up, and you're buying and the market starts to go down, immediately, all of a sudden you're stuck. Immediately, you're upside down in the deal that you bought. So, but back to, back, Avery, I apologize, I get so far off. What I was going to say is, yes, when I was told about the property, the first thing I did was I went to Google Earth, and I pulled up the property, and I thought, wow, man, that looks like it's really close to the lake. And then I took the little guy off of Google Earth, and I dropped it down and set it next to the street. And I'm looking at the place, and it looked pretty thrash, but it looked like $1 million to me. I could see money, and there is money. I'm gonna make a lot of money on that deal. So yes, I will use, Zillow as a point of reference. It's not an absolute, but I will use Zillow sometimes to get a gauge of what properties are worth in an area. Somebody brought a property to me recently, and they said, Tom, you want this? I'll flip it to you. It's a great deal. And I'm like, oh, well, let me take a look at it. And he was right. It seemed like it was under market. But when I went to Zillow, it was under market, but everything around it was bank owned. Everything had already been gone back to the bank. So do I want to try to sell a property when everybody around it has been foreclosed on? No, because a bank is in a position that they can do, they can take a loss. They can sell a property for $30,000, $40,000 under what the mortgage is because they got it back. And you don't want to compete with that. So everything is different. You got to look at everything closely. But the bottom line is you can do it. There's money to be made. I've been doing it since I was 19, and I love it. And I want my kids to follow my path. My boys, I say, what are you going to do when you grow up? They go, we want to do what you do, Dad. And so I'm thrilled, and that's what I want them to do. Still want them to go to college. And, I never went to college, but I want them to go to college and just to have the fun that comes with going to college. But that's it. And so look, be sure to write me, Tom at FlipAnythingUSA.com. Get my app, watch my videos. If you're new to this, listen, I have been doing this so long, sometimes I forget. People ask me a question, and I'll say, I don't know about that. And then 5 minutes later, I'm like, oh, you know what? Yeah, I have done that before. I've done so many different things and so many different creative financing deals, and so many different things happen that it's just amazing to me, and it's fun. But I love that I've had the experience, and I love sharing the experience with you guys. And I do a lot of live broadcasts, not real slick, kind of raw, but it's good. I like the participation. Always appreciate the questions, and if I can help you, like I say, I don't charge anything. I don't want anything. I don't need any money from anybody. I urge you to be very, very skeptical of these seminars that I see in some courses, but these seminars I see, Than Merrill's particularly, I have heard a lot of negative things about them. My understanding is you go in and they try to hit you for $30,000, $40,000. I would never do that. If you got that kind of money at your hand, that's your seed capital. If you got that kind of cash, listen, you can get everything you need for free on the internet, from YouTube. You can get all this stuff mostly for free that you need. And that's what you need. You just got to take time to listen. I study all kinds of stuff on the internet, and it's free. There's great information. It's like when you see like a Jack Welch or some of these guys that run huge companies, they write a book. It's great because what it is they're just sharing what they know. I mean, that's kind of becomes your legacy as your brain, right? What you can do for people. So that's what I'm trying to do, and I thank you. I appreciate that. And, let's see what you got here. I'm trying to read the last question if I can. Great answer, thank you. Foster. If I fostered in relationship, I don't know. I'm not sure what you mean by that, but I've made a lot of friends in real estate, and I've helped a lot of people make money already. And what I really like is the fact that I've been able to inspire people, to take that step and start making money. And because, listen, when I was 19 years old, it was revealed to me how easy it was. And some people may not find that out till they're 40 or 50. But guess what? Even if you don't find out till you're 50 or 60, about this thing that seems so mysterious, making money in real estate, you're going to find out, and at least you found out, and now you can make some money now. But if you're young, man, I mean, you got it made. I mean, listen, I don't care if you're young of any age, it doesn't matter. But if you're young and you start doing this stuff, I mean, you could be like me, be 28 years old and already be a millionaire, and this has been a long time, I'm an old guy now. So listen, that's it. I'm going to kill it here, guys, because I do got to go find my kids. FlipAnythingUSA. Please share, please subscribe, please like. Listen, you can't give me any money. I'm not asking for any money, but you can certainly give me a thumbs up. I'd appreciate it if you would. The likes are my way of measuring. I measure profit on my deals. I measure the profit by the dollars that I make on my property, but I kind of measure my profits here by thumbs up. If I'm doing a good job, or if you appreciate what I'm doing, or you like it, let me know with a thumbs up. Otherwise, I have no way to know if I'm wasting my time or not. So that's it for now. And again, share, subscribe, and share. Get other people involved. The more the merrier. There's plenty of money out there. When I was younger, I didn't like to share anything. I was just greedy. I didn't want anybody to know what I was doing. I was afraid they were going to take from me or get my deals and that sort of thing. And, now it don't matter. I'm good. And I realize it's a big world out there. I can share with you guys all over. I got people from the UK, Canada, all over. And listen, it's just a fantastic way to make money, and it's not hard. It really is not hard. You might have to work hard, but it's nothing like working your whole life, for wages. It's nothing like working your whole life for wages. So that's it for now. FlipAnythingUSA. Be sure to share, subscribe, and come on back and join. Thanks.